Well, how's everybody doing?
Jumping right in.
Jumping right in because I guess I have technical difficulties. Every button I'm pushing isn't really working. So I guess I'll stop pushing all the buttons. You guys, Anna says, we're sorry, but we have a situation that absolutely must be dealt with. It concerns Harold Hines and his medical condition. Everyone, please send love and blessings. Shannon and I will be taking him to the ER tomorrow morning and proceeding from there to help him through whatever has to be done. I really regret missing the chance to talk with you all and answer questions, but I am Harold's medical oversight and need to be present when decisions are made. Both Jim and Harold have been presented serious health issues in the last 10 days, and we have been also dealing with a brutal workload. Please encourage everyone to go to the TASA website, and if they have time to read the handwritten letter I have prepared for President Trump this past week. It's 65 pages long, and somebody is going to go blind, but there is a lot of valuable information there. This is not the final cut. The date still has to be added and final signatures, etc., which will be additionally scanned pages that are added when mailing, and the receipts and confirmations are all received. The adoption of the value of our 1 ounce of silver for the FRN prepaid credit exchange has been settled. The exchange platform is now live. Teams are reviewing brick and mortar location options in 10 states. Mr. Trump is continuing to clear and clean his side of the 2-lane highway, which is good and necessary, but we need to keep our eyes on the prize and our lane and our land. It is evident that the Brits are still trying to pull the old switcheroo on us, both in terms of passing off their British territorial version of the Federal Republic as our old Federal Republic, which is not and cannot be, and keeping ownership control of our land and other assets by keeping everyone's attention riveted on the British Seamen's Trusts. It is important and necessary that the Roman municipal trusts are liquidated and the assets returned to the people, but we can't stop there. If we do, the assets will be handed off to the British territorial government franchises as the receivers, and the underlying American Infant Descendant Estate Trust will not be addressed. We have to raise enough of a stink to expose the whole scheme and make it apparent that we are claiming our so-called revisionary trust rights and are actual beneficiaries and receivers of the British Seamen's Estate and the American Infant Descendant Estate also. This won't be easy, and a lot of people will be deceived into settling short of what is their due and also losing their land claims. It is crucial that we be heard loud and clear and stick to our guns. It is certainly difficult to upstage Trump and Elon Musk with the dirt that they are digging up, but for however brief a moment, we have to. And we have to keep our eyes on the prize. Our American birthright assets and our own lawful American government. We were able to collect enough to get a new generator system, which helps a lot. We are still dealing with new tires for the motorhome we use as a traveling office in the lower 48. It's currently engaged for bank business uses. And now it looks like we will have to engage a live-in nurse for Harold for at least 6 weeks. The situation with Harold's arm is serious. That said, Jim is still requiring a good deal of time and effort, and having 2 down and needed extra care at this crucial time feels like an insurmountable burden for our limited resources and small staff. We have no choice but to get tough and stay tough and honor the needs of these men who have given so much for so many years. I am sorry to cancel on you with so little warning. Again, I was unaware of Harold's medical condition until after the webinar this evening. He hid it from me quite well, not wanting to cause me any additional burdens and disruptions, but it is what it is. I will keep you informed as we go forward on all these many fronts. Be blessed and brave. So that's from Anna. And so, look, friends, Anna's a volunteer and she's in need and giving up everything just like all the rest of us are. Everybody who, we're all volunteers, right? That's the American tradition. It is the way in which we operate. We are not obliged or obligated to serve. We do everything, based on just our own, hearts and the willingness to volunteer. So she's saying the exchange is open, Greg. So their exchange is open. That must mean her AFD exchange.
Yeah. Yeah, with 184 currencies, I think is what she stated before.
Yeah.
That's exciting.
That's very exciting. She said it wasn't going to be October. So that's a big deal. I wish we had a link to see. Do you know anything about that? Like maybe Global is going to give us some information. As far as us being able to access everything, you guys, we will get instruction. Don't push those buttons till we get the instruction because you'll lose your toolbox. So like just hold on. And as far as this question goes, Glenn, no, the AFD is gold backed, not silver backed. And that is why, because gold is the international exchange. It is an international currency. It is internationally exchanged. Silver is national, meaning like within your state. Traditionally, doesn't mean you can't pay things internationally with silver. It just means silver is usually a national currency and gold is international, meaning across our state lines. And also for Michelle here, Anna didn't say that you shouldn't take the handout from them. What she said is do not accept it as a payment in full. She's saying you can take that money if you want to, but make sure that you send them a receipt for a partial payment. It is not a payment in full. Very important. You don't accept it as a payment in full because if you accept it, normally if you don't say anything behind that, then they, under the law of assumptions, they're bullshit laws that they just make up. They're just going to say, okay, well, if she accepted the payment and she contracted, right, Greg?
Yep. But she asked something about an auto deposit, but if you are not in the IRS system anymore, would they still have that?
I don't know, but even if they auto deposit it, you can send them a receipt.
Yeah, that's true.
You can acknowledge that.
Yeah.
And you should rebut it immediately. The minute you get it, make sure you rebut something and you let them know immediately. And I would send it priority express.
Yep.
And make sure you keep your paper trail on that communication. And then I wanted to answer this question as well. Are a postmaster and doctor of equal authority rank, or are they operating in different jurisdictions? The doctor is in the water jurisdiction.
Doctor.
Yeah. Docking. We have medicine men on the land and soil. Medicine men, medicine women. The postmaster is on the land and soil.
So doctors birth the ship.
Right.
So birth. That's why the doctor has to sign the birth certificate.
Correct. And the postmaster and operating this thing in relation to the postage stamp placed on the documents, that's postal power because the post office is a court. And you are invoking the postal courts when you do that. And that is here on our land and soil jurisdiction. 100%. So.
Well, it sounds like we need to hold Harold and Jim in our prayers. Both men are struggling with health issues, so let's all hold them in our prayers and and Anna as well, as the caretaker takes the brunt of everything. So
Yes,
it's really
100,
tough to be the caretaker.
100%. I feel like the other thing that's important, I think, right now is, you know what today is?
It's first day of the year.
It's the new year.
Yeah.
And for all of the April Fools out there,
It's
they don't know.
a brand new year. Let's
It's
go.
it's a brand new year.
And the exchange is live.
And
There
the
we go.
exchange is live just in time for the new year.
Yep.
Just in time for the new year. And so we got Bob over here saying, what kind of fraud or nonsense is Trump going to unveil in the new year? It is when we're supposed to have our Jubilee, right, Greg?
Mm-hmm.
We should have the Jubilee as of the new year. So it'll be very interesting to see how that goes. Um,
Yeah, there's so much going on uh, out in the open, but also behind the scenes in every angle. It's a minute by minute updates right
mhm. Everything's happening so fast.
now.
So fast. Everyone's asking about, like, how would you send them a receipt? Like, literally, Donna, you can just say, hey, we received this partial payment. You can print out the screen where you receive the payment, and you can just say, thank you for your partial payment.
Minuscule partial payment.
Thank you for dropping that change on the ground for us. We appreciate that. Yep. You can let them know that you have received your, initial.
So, an interesting thing in her note that she provided to you was the brick and mortar for the prosperity unions.
Mhm.
And it has me thinking, I'm working with my assembly here on Kansas,
Mhm.
and I own a bank building that was built in 1904. And I'm going to really explore to see. I would be really, really honored if I was able to open up a prosperity union in that old bank building that I have, because it's still in great shape. It's got a vault that was built like a real vault back in the day.
Mhm.
So that's something I'm going to pursue as I move forward here on Kansas.
100%. I think that'll be wonderful. I think that you should. I mean, I don't know why they wouldn't use that.
Yeah, I'm learning, obviously, as we all are. But I think when we're all built out, the idea would be you would have one on each county.
Mhm.
That's not possible right now, of course, but that was the concept I was thinking, as I could
Mhm.
ultimately be the spot for my county, maybe my state to begin with, but certainly the county as we build out.
Absolutely. I mean, it has to be. It has to be somewhere where you can serve the people.
Yep.
Hopefully, you're pretty centrally located. I don't know where you're at on there, but like we were on North Carolina trying to consider someplace central, someplace easy for
Yeah.
everyone to be able to get to, especially for that very first thing. But I mean, once we have all our funding, I mean, I can just go buy a town.
our our county is only 8,000 people. It's
Hmm.
small compared to the county you're in, probably.
My county is crazy big, but yeah, a lot of these counties aren't that big. So
Yeah.
definitely, you know. Um
So
anyway,
before we found out Anna wasn't going to be on today, you and I
right?
talked about uh, just kind of had maybe a hypothetical scenario to kind of
Yeah.
walk through.
Let's do it.
And it's hypothetical because I've been talking to people here on Kansas
Mhm.
and a lot of small business owners. And so I've got I'll say a hypothetical situation, but we have a small business owner unincorporated.
Mhm.
They provide a service, and I'm just going to say they're a plumber for sake of argument, because
Sure.
it could be anything,
Yes.
but they have to travel to their client to
Yep.
perform their service.
Mhm.
And they're unincorporated. They have a new vehicle with the MCO. Vehicle's never been registered, never been titled.
Nice.
They have their credentials from the
Okay.
LRO. So they're
Okay.
papered up. They're American. They're ASNs
Mm-hmm.
with their credentials in hand.
Do they have a passport?
That's the question I had: is where does the passport fit in?
Well, the passport currently, since we are, like we have to realize that for some time, we're going to be in this dual system. And it might be for a long time. I don't know, until they're able to really comprehend nationality. I think the number one thing that everyone needs to really comprehend when you're driving, or, sorry, not driving, but traveling,
Traveling.
when you're traveling freely, the everyone is so, I think, stuck on our title.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm an American state national. Why
Mm-hmm.
can't you just be a North Carolinian
Mm-hmm.
or a Kansan? Okay. Because let's just start from basic. This is what everyone needs to really comprehend firmly is if you don't have a nationality, Greg, if you're just a white man, if you're a white man or a black man or an Asian man or a Hispanic man or a Latino man, or, I'm trying to think of all the other corporate definitions,
Right.
a male or a female, these are corporate
Right.
terms. Okay. So if you are allowing yourself to be a male or a female
Mm-hmm.
or a white man, black man, Latino, like any of the little boxes that they have, then you are not a living man.
Mm-hmm.
You have no national. Those are not nationalities. I remember, and I know that you guys hear me share this story about when I was 7 and I was in school and I was the only Indian girl, and everybody was like, "Are you white or black?" And they would get so mad because I'd be like, "I'm not white or black. I'm from India. You're white or black because you don't know where you're from."
Mm-hmm.
And they never could comprehend the fact of nationality.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you were in the Northeast, then in New York, for example, they had, little China, they had Chinatown area, they had the Italian area, they had the Irish area. Everybody knew their nationality and their culture, right?
Yeah.
But in the South at that time, like there were 5 Indian families on the whole state of North Carolina when I first was living here.
Wow.
And we knew all the 5 families. And then, IBM came, and then Duke Power came, and all these Indians came behind that. But before that, there weren't that many Indians on North Carolina.
Hmm.
And I've watched it grow from just 5 Indian families to, of course, now there's little India everywhere. So if you know your nationality, this is the problem with the people in prison. Okay. When they're in prison, you can't be in prison if you have a nationality.
Right.
They won't take a Nigerian and put him in prison because you can't take a living man with a nationality and just put him in prison.
Right.
But if you agree that you're a black man, okay, or if you're a white man and you're an Italian and you're like, no, I'm not white, I'm Italian, right? And you just insist, no, I'm Italian, I'm not white, or I'm French, or whatever, any nationality. So it's important when you're traveling.
Traveling.
God, the corporate training is
They've got
really
us.
good.
They've got our minds warped.
I know. When you're freely traveling out there and, the officer pulls you over, you're like, "Officer, what is the emergency? What is the emergency?"
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, now they've learned to say to me, "What do you mean? Is that a joke?" No, it's not actually. You is there an emergency or not an
The
emergency?
only reason you should have pulled me over.
Right. There is no reason for you to disturb me while I'm traveling freely unless there's an emergency.
Right.
Okay. Is this a joke? This is what they'll say to you now, because they're getting trained too about the American state nationals. And then you're like, no. And then, when they ask you for your credentials, they want you to identify yourself. I mean, give them your passport. I'm an American. I'm a North Carolinian. I don't know what, and they're just going to look at you.
Hmm.
What are you talking about? So on this truck that you have, this van or whatever it is, so on our vehicles, we have a private property tag.
Mm-hmm.
We took their name tag off
Mm-hmm.
because our registration expired, and so we didn't pay the registration again.
Yep.
But if you're going to keep their plate on your car, your automobile, then, or on your truck or whatever, on your private property, you're using their name tag.
Yep.
So stop it.
Yep.
Now you're impersonating them. And that becomes a problem, right?
And I think the other confusion comes in with that's why I bring up the service.
Mm-hmm.
So the man, the
Mm-hmm.
living man, we only have two choices, right? You're either a man or a woman. Simple
Right.
as that.
Right.
So in this case, the man
Mm-hmm.
travels in his truck to his client,
Mm-hmm.
performs a service.
Mm-hmm.
He's not acting in commerce while he's traveling there.
Right.
He's not hauling somebody for hire. He's
Right.
simply traveling to the location to perform the service. And I
Right.
think there's a lot of confusion there where people think, oh, he's conducting business while he's traveling. No, he's not. He's simply transporting himself from point A to point B
Mm-hmm.
to then perform the service. They
Right.
can't bring the house to him to do the plumbing. It's like an on-call doctor. So I think there's a lot of confusion there, and I've had that discussion with a few people lately.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well,
try to,
he's free. He's free to do business that way. Now, here's another thing. Everybody wants to know how to get like a tax exempt ID or whatever for their
right,
business.
right,
Why? Why do you want that? That's dumb.
yep,
Also, why do you even need to go and seek this out? This is the debate that I was having because, everyone thought, okay, well, I have to have that for my bank account. Okay, no, actually, I have a social that
mm-hmm,
they gave me that I
mm-hmm,
didn't ask for, and
mm-hmm,
they did it, and assigned that to me unconscionably. And so I'm going to use it. Anna says you've been given
mm-hmm.
things that they've already assigned to you.
And the good news is we shouldn't need that much longer.
Right. But my whole thing is, right. I mean, all I'm saying is that number that they gave me, right, allows me to have a personal checking account for my personal business that's private.
Yep.
Guess what? I don't need anything else. And these days, I have Cash App.
Yep. And soon to have global.
And soon to have global. Why in the world, we keep advancing and having a new way to be able to operate. Well, this current moment, get a Cash App, and as long as you can get something from it and then take it, and I can take all of whatever I get from Cash App today, and I can go to the post office and I can buy myself a money order or as many money orders as I need. And I can now convert everything into however many money orders. Let's just say I'm using it to pay my bills. Or I have to pay my guys. If somebody Cash at me and I got to pay I'm the plumber guy and I need to pay my guys.
Yep.
And so I can go and give them their day's pay. You know what? Back in the day, in the Little House on the Prairie days, if you worked a day, you got paid that day.
Exactly.
At the end of your shift, you got paid.
Yep.
You could tell your guys, I'll pay you tomorrow because you need to, or follow me to the post office, whatever. On your way away from the post office is still a bank.
Well, except for the discussion on the call last Thursday about the domestic money orders no longer being gold back.
Well, I'm not talking about having them be gold back. So whether it's gold back or not gold back, I'm talking about not,
in this case, fiat back, either way.
Right. I'm saying pay your guys, pay them on the Cash App too. Maybe you get payment and you pay them.
Yeah. Okay.
But let's just say you pay your guys on Cash App, you get paid and they get paid, right? And let's just pretend that we're using that for this discussion.
Yeah.
Okay. And so they can take their Cash App and go to the post office and have a money order made out for their electric bill, for their rent, for their whatever, and they can just pay all that. And they can even use Cash App at the grocery store, at Walmart. I mean, I don't like that, but they could also go to their farmer. But
Mm-hmm.
if the farmer wanted silver or gold, they could even buy silver and gold using the Cash App
Mm-hmm.
online at the 10 different places that we know. Or he can get a money order and send that, mail it in, and get silver
Yep.
and then use that.
Yep.
So there's
Yep.
many ways for us to convert the things, you know,
Yep.
and get the payment and actually get our earnings, without having to go through all of that.
Yep.
I think Caucasian is also one of those corporate words.
White, non-Hispanic,
Yeah.
all that stuff.
All of these words are all the fake corporate words. We don't want to recognize ourselves as any of those things. We're just living men and living women. And
Yep.
color of law is not applying to us and has nothing to do with our nationality. We 1,000,000% only need to focus on nationality.
So, we've talked about this before, but if we, as this seemingly slowly unfolds, and it's accelerating big time right
Mm-hmm.
now, all the
Mm-hmm.
changes in a good way, mostly
Mm-hmm.
in a good way. But just like what you were discussing there, so we now have a living man that's a
Mm-hmm.
plumber. He doesn't have a business license. He doesn't have a dead entity, a corporation.
Look
He's
at this.
unincorporated.
Look at Mike right here.
There we go.
We we trade as the man with the other men. So the issue is to get them to make the checkout as the man as opposed to a business. Well, they might require an education. I've been doing business like this for 16 years, and it requires an education.
Yeah.
And will it limit the people with whom you can do business? Probably.
Yeah.
And also, who cares? Because guess what? There's plenty of people who don't want to have anything to do with the system.
Yep.
And you
I've had that issue, and I some of them I just had to move on from because they could not understand, or yeah, they
comprehend.
understood. They were
Yes,
standing under, right?
they are always
They're not-
understanding. They're just never comprehending.
they're never
And
comprehending,
and
and
you
it's
know
tough.
what's interesting, Mike, is I know guys that have businesses, have their licenses, just need guys to show up and do the work. And they will happily allow you to work for them under their auspices and 1099 you,
Yeah.
which means that they're running their business the way they need to, and you can or cannot participate with the IRS or whatever, the man, the corporatocracy. And, when I say this to people who operate in trades, they don't like it because, it makes it harder and it requires conversations, like really hard conversations. And what's fascinating is they've made you feel like you're not worthy, like they diminish you and they pressure you with societal diminishing pressure to comply. And you could just not do it. What did Anna say? She said, if you don't have any courage, she don't even want to know who you are. And then we could go to the Wizard of Oz with that, right? The Wizard of Oz, where they're telling you the story, where the Scarecrow wants a brain, and the Tin Man wants a heart, and the lion wants the courage. You must be courageous. Right now, the entire corporatocracy out there is talking about us. They're trying to embarrass us. They're trying to make fun of us. They're trying to say our names out there and say that we are liars and we are conspiracy theorists and we are tinfoil people. Even people within our assemblies are accusing us of lies and immorality when they themselves are falling victim into this corporate brainwashing. And we can't care. They can't see the truth in front of them if it hit them with like a wet fish. What does Anna talk about? The wet fish.
Mackerel. Smack with a mackerel.
They can't know. And we have to just be courageous and look, all the men, especially the men, have been really, really hammered. Like, you're not getting paid unless you do this. But you are also the enforcers that can be like, I guess you need something fixed and I know how to fix it.
Once you
So,
start to look outside of their system, though, and you realize,
mm,
holy cow, this is so much simpler.
mhm,
And all that stuff they have you doing is just ridiculous. It's just to keep you down, it's to hold you down. It's tough to transition, though, no doubt. But I think it's going to get easier. I think it's
mhm,
getting easier. So, yeah, I say you just got to hang in there, stick to your guns. Anything worth having is worth working for.
mhm.
That's a true saying.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we have to really dig in right now. This
Mhm.
is the suffering that they're talking about. The suffering is more so watching the people unable to comprehend,
Mhm.
especially our loved ones.
Yeah. Well, as farming,
Mhm.
the USDA loves to say they're going to do you a favor, and they're going to sign your land up and they'll pay you money to do nothing.
Mhm.
That you don't have to do anything and they'll just give you a check. No
Mhm.
strings attached, right? And they've had this system going for years. And
Mhm.
they have it to where every farmer goes into their county office, field service, FSA, whatever it stands for. I forget all the acronyms. There's so many of them.
Right.
And and I've been battling with that because they wouldn't take me off the list. So I finally noticed them and got a little harsh, but I said, look, you need to remove my land from any and all records, anything to do with the USDA, FSA, and it needs to be done immediately. It's tough though because these farmers have been, just like you said, beaten down and beaten down and beaten down. And it's this way in a lot of other trades, not just farming. And
Mhm.
they've got it to where I shared that with a fellow farmer and he thought I was crazy. He thought I was the stupidest person on the earth.
Mhm.
And I guess I'm not a person, first of all. I'm a
That's
living man,
right.
but that it's just hard for them to look past that because of the challenges and the just the thumb on that's been placed on them. So it's going to take a little bit, but once we get there, it's going to be a great new golden age based on the AFD.
That's right. It's all working out. It's all coming together. And, everything's coming together. We're getting there, and we just have to hold the line and
Well,
continue.
the reason why all of us probably that's why Anna said the bank's so important. The
Right.
reason why the farmers do that is for one reason and one reason only: money or currency. It's not
Mhm.
money, but that's the only reason. They don't do it because they like to. And
Mm-mm.
most everybody else on here that's in a trade or has a business or whatever doesn't like to sign up for licenses because they enjoy filling out meaningless forms. It's all about the money. It's all about participating in their system. And the bank is the key to that. Once you break free of that, there's other hurdles, but that's the big hurdle.
Mhm.
So let's
Mhm.
figure out how this exchange is live. I'm excited.
Yeah, let's figure it out. Let me know what you find out there, and this is a good one. Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah,
Yep, that's right, Juan. They can't help. He fixed his language right here.
yeah, yeah. We knew what you meant.
Yeah.
It is tough.
It's really, really hard, you guys. It's really, really hard. It makes business a little bit harder, but once you start, I mean, when I first started, because now it's been 16 years, but when I very first started, it was really difficult. And then the longer I continued on, you know, I mean, guess what? Your group of people is smaller,
Yep,
but it's a much higher quality um,
that's
group of
true.
people. You work with a much higher quality group of people, and they're way more invested in you being successful and you being taken care of, and that they can rely on you. If you're a really good plumber, and you get in really good with, this is another thing, because people will try to say, oh, well, what about a PMA? Private membership associations limit you to 500 services, 500 people that you can serve only.
Clients or
You can
members.
only have 500. So if that's all you want, I guess that's fine. I don't want to be limited, and I am not allowing anyone else to tell me. Why would I allow someone to tell me who I can work with and how many people, and for me to have to keep count of that and whatever the other nonsensical crap is? Why would we ever cross the corporate veil and limit ourselves to talk about something less than us when we have everything? We don't need to go into the persons when we can
You're just
stay right
playing in
here
their
as the
system.
people.
That's
Right.
all you're doing is playing in their system, and they control it.
Right. You don't need to cross the corporate veil and go that way. Um,
Yeah,
there.
I walked away from a great opportunity here last year, I guess,
Mm,
because the other people involved were not willing to uh, break out of the system, for whatever reason, Stockholm syndrome, whatever it was, but and I just drew the line. I guess I drew the veiled line, and said, nope, not crossing over. If you
not
guys
crossing
won't come
over.
over on my side, then we have to cut ties, and we cut ties.
Yeah.
It's too
There.
bad because it was a great opportunity, and I enjoyed working with those people. But I agree. We are transmitters and receivers, right? We'll attract,
Yes.
and you attract what you're thinking. And if you're thinking, I'm free, I'm unincorporated, I'm not going to play with their system, I'm going to operate as a free living man or living woman, you'll attract the others that think like you.
Right. And you do have to operate in honor. And you do have to be making things right, as it's required. Here's another one that we can talk about. That Social
Mm-hmm.
Security is tied to the ens legis, which is a sole proprietorship. It is.
Yep.
However, when we declare, we claim. If you declare and you do your 928 package, then you claim all the things, and we claim that number also, and we claim that ens legis person,
The
and
monster.
we
It's a
claim
monster.
everything, and we get to use that for our own benefit in whatever way that we want. And so
Creature
that,
of the law, I believe it is, right? Isn't that the definition of ens legis?
yes, the creature.
Fictitious creature of the law, something to that effect.
Right. So we're able to use that to our benefit, especially if you have done your 928 package. So a lot of people haven't done it. Anna's like, it's not mandatory for anyone to do it. I really can't comprehend why you wouldn't do it, huh, Greg? Like, I don't know.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
doesn't really make any sense to me. Do we have any more examples that you want to go over?
No, I think that was good.
Yeah.
We're doing good. We're going through some of the comments today too.
Yeah, we went through all of this. I think that, I'm looking to see if that was everything else. Uh,
Oh yeah.
all right. How do you want to talk about this?
Oh boy, that's an interesting one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's your renter. That's the issue.
Mm-hmm.
I had the same issue, honestly, and I got rid of my renter.
Yeah.
That's just what I had to. That was one of the ties that I broke here this past year. Is I wanted all my land out of everything, including crop rotation program, the CRP,
Mm-hmm.
and my rentor is stuck in their system, and we just had to cut ties. I hate to say it like that, but it is true because he can't insure his crop. There it is. There's the money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. So I see. I don't really understand that because I don't really need the CRP payment. Yeah. Well,
Where do
um,
you see that? Oh, it continues.
that's the last second sentence of the comment.
Oh, then just use your land for your own something
I
else.
was going to say I hate to say it, but the simple thing is you are probably too late already this year. In
Mm-hmm.
Kansas, anyway, I think it's like the first week in February. If you haven't changed your contract with your renter, you're obligated till the end of the year. So wherever you are, you may be in the same situation. But certainly, next year.
Mm-hmm.
Just written notify to your renter. I would typically do it right at the tail end of this year, or you could do it really whenever. Hey,
I mean,
next year you're not going
do
to
it
be renting my
now.
land.
Do
Yeah,
it now and give them
you
the whole
can. You
year's
can do it
notice,
now, and
you
I,
know?
I would resend it at the end of the year. But then, uh, like I said, I noticed the local Field Services Agency, maybe is what FSA stands for, associated with the USDA, which is where
Mm,
the crop rotation program is.
yeah,
And it's not much of a payment, that's for sure. That's
yeah.
the worst thing about it. It's so insulting. It actually makes me angry because it's so insulting that they'll give you this pittance to essentially control a huge asset of yours. And
Mm-hmm.
it's just ridiculous is what it is. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's
Yeah,
tough. I mean, a contract sits above all. You can't change that unless you can mutually come to an agreement. You can
right.
always mutually negotiate with somebody, but contract stands above all.
Well, they can always, there's always a discussion that could be happening
Well,
there.
I'll tell you what I did as an example. I bought a
Mm-hmm.
piece of property and it was after the first of the year, so it was already under contract. There it is,
Mm-hmm.
farm service agent. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you,
Um,
outdoors.
so it had a renter on it, but I bought the renter out.
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Hey, what are you going to make this year on the crops?" And just did it just above board in honor. Made it right with that individual, that farmer, and I bought him out so that I could get the land out, all my land out this year.
Mm.
So there's options out there, but just we self govern and we act in honor, and you just have those conversations. I would just have that conversation with the renter that you have on a contract with until 2026 and see if there's a mutual way to part ways effectively.
Yeah. You never know. I mean,
It's
what?
going to be a tough year. I don't know if it's farm ground. If it's going to be a tough year.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to, we're in a deflationary spiral. Anna's talked about that on some of her calls, but we're in a deflationary spiral, and that's these guys will be planting $100 bills if we go into a deflation, and that's
Mm-hmm.
not a good business to be in.
No. No. Well, I don't see any other questions or comments in here that look, friends, we appreciate y'all so much. Oh, they wanted to hear the letter again.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
I would.
I don't mind doing that again. Hang on. Let's see here. Are you ready? Anna says, I am sorry, but we have a situation there that absolutely must be dealt with. It concerns Harold Hines and his medical condition. Everyone send love and blessings, please. Shannon and I will be taking him into the ER tomorrow morning and proceeding from there to help him through whatever has to be done. I really regret missing the chance to talk with you all and answer questions, but I am Harold's medical oversight and need to be present when decisions are made. Both Jim and Harold have been presented serious health issues in the last 10 days, and we have been also dealing with a brutal workload. Please encourage everyone to go to the TASA website if they have time and read the handwritten letter that I prepared for President Trump this past week. It is 65 pages long, and some staffer will go blind, but there is a lot of valuable information. This is not the final. The date has to be added and final signatures, etc., which will be additionally scanned pages added with the mailing and the receipts and the confirmations, as they're received. The adoption of the value of 1 ounce of silver for the FRN prepaid credit exchange has been settled. So that's a big, big deal. That's a big win for us. The exchange platform is now live. Teams are reviewing brick and mortar location options in 10 states. It is evident that the Brits are still trying to pull the old switcheroo on us both in terms of passing off their British territorial version of the Federal Republic as our old Federal Republic, which it is not and cannot be. And keeping ownership control of our land and other assets by keeping everyone's attention riveted on the British Seamen's Trusts It's important and necessary that the Roman municipal trusts are liquidated and the assets are returned to the people, but we can't stop there. If we do, the assets will be handed off to the British territorial government franchises as the receivers, and the underlying American Infant Descendant Estate Trust will not be addressed. We have to raise enough of a stink to expose the whole scheme and make it apparent that we are claiming our so-called revisionary trust rights and are the actual beneficiaries and receivers of the British Seamen's Estate and the American Infant Descendant Estate also. This won't be easy, and a lot of people will be deceived into settling short of what is their due, and also losing their land claims. It is crucial that we be heard loud and clear and stick to our guns. It is certainly difficult to upstage Trump and Elon Musk with the dirt that they are digging up, but for however brief a moment, we have to. And we have to keep our eyes on the prize, our American birthright assets and our lawful American government. We were able to collect enough to get a new generator system, which helps a lot. We are still dealing with the new tires for the motorhome that we use as a traveling office in the lower 48. They're currently engaged for the bank business uses. And now it looks like we will have to engage a live-in nurse for Harold for the next 6 weeks. The situation with Harold's arm is serious. That said, Jim is still requiring a good deal of time and effort, and having 2 down and needing extra care at this crucial time feels like an insurmountable burden for our limited resources and small staff. We have no choice but to get tough and stay tough and honor the needs of these men who have given so much for so many years. I'm sorry to cancel on you with so little warning again, but I was unaware of Harold's medical condition until after the webinar this evening. He hit it for me quite well, not wanting to cause me any additional burdens and disruptions, but it is what it is. I will keep you informed as we go forward on all these many fronts. Be blessed and be brave.
And I was looking around on the TASA site while you were reading. I don't see it, but I'm not super proficient with the site, so I'm probably not looking in the right spot.
They might not have uploaded it yet. Maybe she's given it to somebody to upload, and they still need to get it up there.
That may be, yeah. It wasn't obvious to me. I was searching around, so if somebody sees it, that'd be great.
Right, and I don't think that that Paul did that, right? So.
Oh yeah, I didn't go look. Well, he wouldn't have published it yet, I guess, would he?
Maybe, I don't know. And for Steve, you once they're 21, then they can open up a GFG account, because they have to declare themselves also conscionably for their accounts. Just doing one more look through all the questions. Yeah, it'll probably take some time. Anyway, we can all keep an eye out for it, you guys, and let's send all of our prayers and our pure positive energy for Anna and the Federation. And we appreciate you so much. And we look forward to seeing everybody here next week. And we'll see you next week at 4 o'clock Eastern Standard and noon Alaska time. Thanks, guys.
Everybody.